Fast. I'm good if you guys are, and then we'll jump straight in here.
Stand by. 4, 3.
Hey guys, it's Scotty Schwartz, and tonight we are following new charges in the deaths of Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. The couple's son, Nick Reiner, charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of his parents.
Prosecuting these cases involving family members are some of the most challenging and most heart-wrenching cases that this office faces because of the intimate and often brutal nature of the crimes involved.
And now Nick Reiner faces the state of California's most serious murder charges, which could result in the death penalty. We're going to have full coverage. And police are still searching for the suspect in that deadly Brown University shooting tonight. There is new surveillance video as the manhunt continues. NBC's Aaron McLaughlin is in Providence with more. Plus, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth meets with lawmakers behind closed doors to talk about those deadly boat strikes in international waters. And now, breaking tonight, President Trump orders a military blockade on oil tankers under sanction heading to Venezuela. We've got the latest. And in tonight's Future of Everything, we're going to introduce you to America's top young scientist who is wise behind his 13 years, how his invention has the potential to save lives. I added that caveat. Is that correct? It's of sanctioned oil tankers, not all oil tankers, right? Is that right? Okay, cool. All right, just triple checking. All right, everybody, hello. We are good. We are busy, busy, busy. How are you, SML? Let's see. Let's check on Lisa. Oh, there she is. Lisa, your hair looks great today. All right, let's see here.
Thank you. I have it pulled back for golf. I have to like be able to focus.
Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle,
golf game.
the couple's son, Nick Reiner, charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of his parents. How's it going?
Prosecuting these cases involving family members.
What are you guys watching? What's the news that you guys are interested in today?
That this office faces
what should we lead with? We're
because
already
of the
leading
intimate
with
and often brutal
something.
nature of the crimes involved.
I am interested to
and
hear
now
Nick
Nick Reiner
faces the state of California's most serious murder charges, which could result in the death penalty. We're going to have full coverage. And police are still searching for the suspect in that deadly Brown University shooting tonight. There is new surveillance video as the manhunt continues. NBC's Aaron McLaughlin is in Providence with more.
So tonight,
Plus, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth meets with lawmakers behind closed doors to talk about those deadly boat strikes in international waters. And now, breaking tonight, President Trump orders a military blockade on oil tankers. Oil tankers under sanction heading to Venezuela. We've got the latest. And in tonight's Future of Everything, we're going to introduce you to America's top young scientist who is wise behind his 13 years, how his invention has the potential to save lives.
A tool that they can use to basically pursue life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. Now, the death penalty, technically it's on the books here in California, but there's been a moratorium since Gavin Newsom signed that. So is it symbolic? Is it possible in this case? That is yet to be seen. Hemp ban in Ohio. I don't think we have that in there. So in the meantime, I'm gonna have to read in on that. Lots of crazy stuff in the news today. So we're going to be talking about that. Then this manhunt that continues out in Providence, Rhode Island, now entering its 5th day. So Aaron McLaughlin is out there where they still don't know who opened fire at Brown University. So a lot of people still in the hospital recovering from their injuries. And then there's some new surveillance video that they're releasing with some enhancements. So we'll see if hopefully that leads to the arrest of this guy, $50,000 reward. But again, I mean, it's 5 days now. So that guy cannot be caught soon enough. And then, yeah, the only time will tell. That's truly the case here. And in California, in Los Angeles in particular, a lot of times you see a lot of the details in what's called the PC statement, the probable cause statement, and the arrest warrants and the affidavits that are filed publicly. Los Angeles, a lot of time the charging document just says what the charges are, and they don't really get into the details. So it might be some time before we see a lot of the details of what happened in the Rob Reiner case, at least from police and investigators. Let's see. We always do, SML. We always do. That's the whole point of the show. Let's see here. And then, yeah, whatever's happening in Venezuela just got ratcheted up even more. The president just posting that, actually, let me just take a look at this before we start again. It is, let's see here. It's this one right here. Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada ever assembled in the history of South America. And then he says, until such time as they return to the United States of America, all the oil, land, and other assets they previously stole from us. So, a lot of questions on what he's talking about. I mean, Venezuela back to Hugo Chavez and Maduro, I mean, they nationalized a lot of private corporations, private companies in Venezuela. So is he talking about Citgo? Is he talking about some of what we've seen in the past? Is he talking about something else? We have questions, but he is designating Venezuela, the government of Venezuela at least, the Venezuela regime, he says, he has designated them as a foreign terrorist organization. So we'll see how that plays out. We got a minute before our show. What else do we want to talk about here? He will sign a bill into law that will ban intoxicating hemp products that make various changes to the... Interesting, very interesting. And all of that's coming as, once again, marijuana at the federal level is front and center in the debate. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. All right, let's see. And yes, we'll have a bunch of Trump updates on all of that. Pittsburgh, let's see. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry, I just have to check something here.
Yeah.
The home explosion. We have a home explosion in North Carolina. Okay. 45 minutes. Interesting. That is very, very interesting. Guys, I really, really appreciate you helping us out. You guys are the extra eyes and ears out there for the news. How many seconds? 15 seconds. Okay, I think this looks good. We're going to switch over here. We're going to go for the top of the show, and then we'll kick it off. So stay tuned. Here it comes. Hey guys, it's Scotty Schwartz, and tonight we are following new charges in the deaths of Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. The couple's son, Nick Reiner, charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of his parents.
Prosecuting these cases involving family members are some of the most challenging and most heart-wrenching cases that this office faces because of the intimate and often brutal nature of the crimes involved.
And now Nick Reiner faces the state of California's most serious murder charges, which could result in the death penalty. We're going to have full coverage. And police are still searching for the suspect in that deadly Brown University shooting tonight. There is new surveillance video as the manhunt continues. NBC's Aaron McLaughlin is in Providence with more. Plus, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth meets with lawmakers behind closed doors to talk about those deadly boat strikes in international waters. And now, breaking tonight, President Trump orders a military blockade on oil tankers. Oil tankers under sanction heading to Venezuela. We've got the latest. And in tonight's Future of Everything, we're going to introduce you to America's top young scientist who is wise behind his 13 years, how his invention has the potential to save lives.
Yeah, bye.
And breaking tonight, Nick Reiner officially charged with 2 counts of murder in the deaths of his parents, Hollywood icon Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. That announcement coming less than 48 hours after he was taken into custody. And according to the district attorney, we have not seen Nick Reiner in court because so far he has not been medically cleared. We've also learned new details about the arrest. The 32-year-old, he was caught by police Sunday night, nearly 6 hours after his parents were found dead in their Brentwood home. Investigators tracked him down about 15 miles away near Exposition Park, that's on the campus of USC, and police think that a knife was used in those killings, but so far no word on whether that crucial piece of evidence has been recovered. NBC's Morgan Chesky leads us off.
These are some of the most serious charges that a DA's office can bring against anyone.
Tonight, Nick Reiner, son of Hollywood royalty, charged with murder for the brutal slayings of his father Rob and mother Michelle.
These charges will be 2 counts of first-degree murder with the special circumstance of multiple murders.
The district attorney confirming today that a knife was used, which could lead to a more severe punishment. The Reiners' bodies were found inside the couple's bedroom, according to police, who today shared new details about how officers brought Nick Reiner into custody.
He was arrested in a public area in the Exposition Park area near the University of Southern California campus. He was approached by the officers and he was arrested without incident.
The 32-year-old Reiner, now represented by high-profile attorney Alan Jackson, known for successfully defending Karen Reed in her murder trial. Reiner expected to be arraigned soon.
Every inmate has to be medically cleared before they can be transported to court. He has not been medically cleared.
And tonight, resurfaced interviews are giving a peek into the complicated relationship between Reiner and his parents.
Well, I think I'm lucky in the sense that I have parents that care about me.
Appearing on a podcast several years ago, Nick described trashing his parents' guest house.
I got totally spun out on uppers, and I was up for days on end, and I started punching out different things in my guest house. I think I started with the TV, and then I went over to the lamp, and then everything in the guest house got wrecked.
Tonight, authorities calling the case heartbreaking and deeply personal.
Their loss is beyond tragic, and we will commit ourselves to bringing their murderer to justice.
And tonight, regarding these specific charges, Gotti, the maximum sentence for these is either life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. However, the district attorney made it clear in the press conference earlier today that as of this moment in time, that decision has yet to be made. Gotti.
Morgan Chesky, thank you. And NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas joins us now. Danny, starting with your takeaways from today, what stands out here?
Well, I mean, in many ways, this is a typical murder prosecution and the highest level of murder in the state of California. You've got murder with special circumstances, which makes him eligible for the death penalty. Now, California has a moratorium on the death penalty, and even if it didn't, for the most part, in most states in the federal system, with the exception of some southern states, the death penalty doesn't always necessarily mean the death penalty. It means decades and decades of appeals. So in many ways, this is just this matches a typical domestic violence type, passion type killing. And I would look for that to be one of the prongs of the defense, either a mental illness, insanity type defense, maybe a lack of competency, or maybe even a heat of passion to mitigate.
Interesting. And speaking of the mental health, the competence question, we keep hearing that the reason why he wasn't in court today was because he hasn't been medically cleared. Is that just kind of like a physical checkup medical clearance, or is that something where the mental state is also taken into consideration just for the arraignment or just for a first appearance?
It's related to competency, but if he's not medically cleared, he can't be transported. That's a separate issue from whether or not he's deemed competent to stand trial. And it's also yet another separate issue from whether or not he can use the insanity defense. Competency deals with your mental state right now, as you are a criminal defendant. Insanity deals with the time that the crime was committed. Is it an affirmative defense in the sense that you were unable to understand the nature and consequences or appreciate the wrongfulness of what you were doing, such that the crime, and the challenge with insanity, number one, it's totally fallen out of favor since the Reagan attempted assassination decades ago. And also, you have to admit to every other element of the crime. You can't say, I didn't do it, but I was also insane. That doesn't make any sense. And of course, if you plead insanity, it's a bit of a gamble because you're admitting every element of the crime and then additionally taking on the burden of proving with expert evidence that you were legally insane at the time of the crime.
Yeah, it's definitely shooting for the moon there. Can you help us understand what special circumstances means? And do they have a higher burden of proof if they look for those types of enhancements?
Yes, every state is different when it comes to their homicide statutes, but in California, they have murder and then special circumstances. The way most states do this is it's basically intentional killing, that's your standard murder, and then they have a list of different special circumstances. New York has something similar, but basically it's some aggravating circumstance that qualifies it for the ultimate penalty, the death penalty, capital punishment, the most serious crime of murder. An example of some of these aggravating circumstances are more than one person is killed at once. It's let me see, for example, killing a judge or a peace officer or something like that. Aggravating circumstances, special circumstances, these are all shorthand, depending on the state, for capital murder, the most serious crime. So yes, the government not only has to prove an intentional killing, they have to prove those additional special circumstances that qualify for the death penalty, even if, of course, that's up to the prosecution whether or not they want to seek the ultimate punishment.
And Danny, before we let you go, I do want to ask, I mean, this is Hollywood, and these are Hollywood icons. The district attorney today, he was very much like, listen, if it's not coming from us and if it's not coming out of the court, then you should just dismiss it as rumor or hearsay. And yet, this town is a town where everybody talks a lot. And so we're going to see a tight-lipped investigation, and we're also going to see the rumor mill going. We're also going to see leaks in this investigation, most likely, and we're also going to see a witness list that we already know that has some people that are some of the most famous people on Earth on it potentially here. How do you see both of those things running parallel?
Now, I have a couple different theories just at the outset of this case. This is not a situation like the O.J. Simpson case, where the defendant himself is incredibly famous and at the time beloved by many. I don't think a lot of people were really aware of Rob Reiner's son. Maybe some in the movie business. Yes, he was involved in a film with his father, but it's Rob Reiner and to some degree his wife that were the real famous superstars. Rob Reiner has been incredibly famous since I was a child, and I am elderly, Gotti. He's been around since he was Meathead on one of the biggest shows in TV ever, back when there were 3 channels, including NBC, and that was it. That's the only thing you watched. So famous back then meant something totally different. Now, his son, on the other hand, he's not going to get the benefit of being a famous defendant in the way that other famous defendants do in places like L.A. or in New York. More appropriately in L.A. So I think you're going to see a lot of this case proceed normally, especially with the amount of evidence that's already emerging. This seems like a very strong case for the prosecution.
Yeah, especially when Nick's notoriety, so much of it came from his father, and so much of it came from the project that he worked on with his father, which was exposing a lot of his past troubles with addiction issues. Danny Savalos, a great point. Thank you so very much for joining us. And tonight, there is fear in Rhode Island as that manhunt for the person who killed 2 people at Brown University is now about to enter its 5th day. Police releasing some new enhanced video of the person of interest, trying to piece together the attacker's movements in the hours before the shooting on Saturday. They are urging anyone to come forward with any sort of information.
Just need a little bit of patience, as hard as it is to say that in this really horrible context.
Yeah, the FBI is now joining in on that search. They are offering a $50,000 reward. And despite all of that, law enforcement officials have yet to publicly identify any suspects. 7 people are still hospitalized, including 1 in critical condition. Brown University has canceled final exams for the rest of the fall semester, along with this weekend's basketball games. And there is a makeshift memorial that continues to grow on campus as the community comes together.
We have staff and faculty in our church who were there receiving kids as they were running out of this building right here. One of the very small things we could do is create an embodied presence here at one of the vigils and pass out coffee and pray with people, help them get rides to the airport, get meals if they need to, give them space to talk.
And let's get right out to NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. Aaron, officials desperately trying to find this person of interest. Are they any closer this hour?
Well, I mean, it doesn't seem so, Gotti. If essentially what authorities did today was release additional surveillance footage. We've been watching them for the last couple of days now, send teams of investigators out to homes and businesses asking for Ring camera footage. The FBI released a 6-minute clip of various bits and pieces of footage, including dashboard camera footage of this person of interest walking around the neighborhood prior to the attack. There's a clip an hour before the attack in which you see him walking past the building where the shooting took place. You never see him enter the building in this footage. There's another very brief clip of him walking away. Big questions tonight remain. What is his identity? The Attorney General saying if they knew who he was, they'd very quickly be able to locate him. And then where did he go next? How did he get into the university? Lots of key questions still outstanding, and they're appealing to the public for help, Gotti.
And what else do we know about what it was like inside started?
Well, authorities say they still do not have footage of the shooter inside of the building, and that's because the shooting happened in an older part of the building, according to the Attorney General. And the camera footage they do have from inside of the building of students running, that is from the newer portion of the building. We have been speaking to students who were there at the time of the shooting. One student told me that he was there to watch a football game. Keep in mind, this is a building that lots of students frequented for various purposes at the weekend, studying, watching games, just gathering together. He said that all of a sudden in the middle of the game, he heard shots fired. He ran out. As he was running out, he saw someone lying on the ground. Really harrowing, terrifying experiences for these students. We talked to another PhD student who was able to exit the building. She described for us what she saw when she left. Take a listen.
All of a sudden I hear like safeties off of guns and radios, and everyone's like hands in the air, and it was like 8 cops, and we walk out and there's like 8 guns pointed at us, and they're like, where have you been? What are you doing here? Like, who are you? Did you see anything? And they start like patting us down and everything, and then they're like, you need to get outside right now, run as fast as you can.
Now, these accounts still very much a part of the investigation. Authorities here at Brown are appealing to students, anyone who was inside the building behind me, either Friday or Saturday, to come forward with their accounts. Gotti.
Aaron McLaughlin in Rhode Island. Aaron, thank you. And there is new video showing the moment a couple tried to stop that deadly terror attack out in Australia. The video comes from a dash cam, and it shows a husband wearing a lavender shirt here, tackling one of the shooters and even managing to wrestle the gun away from him. His wife, it can be seen running around the car. That couple have been identified as Boris and Sophia Gurman, and it looks like the attacker got another gun, which he then used to kill them. It is the latest act of heroism to emerge from that attack, the other being the moment a bystander named Ahmed Al-Ahmed managed to disarm one of the gunmen. He was shot. He has since undergone surgery, and today he got a visit from Australia's Prime Minister. Sunday's attack killed 15 people. It left dozens of others hurt. And this is a live look at the growing memorial at Bondi Beach as people pay their respects, and tens of thousands have signed up to donate blood. We're also learning new details about the two suspects who officials say deliberately targeted Jewish people at a Hanukkah celebration. NBC's Sarah James is at Sydney's Bondi Beach following these developments. Hey there, Sarah. What can you tell us?
The first funerals will be held today here in Sydney for two rabbis killed in the terror attack as the investigation broadens and also as the Jewish community calls for more to be done to combat anti-Semitism. 15 people were killed here at Bondi Beach when two gunmen opened fire on a celebration of Hanukkah here at this iconic beach. Many of the victims remain in hospital. New dash cam footage reveals a courageous confrontation. A bystander who wrestled with the gunman and tried to stop him. Boris Gurman and his wife Sophia died in each other's arms. The investigation into the attack is intensifying. Australia's Prime Minister says the two suspects are Sajid Akram, killed in the attack, son Naveed Akram, and that they were inspired by ISIS, that explosive devices were found in their car along with ISIS flags. Investigators say the pair recently traveled to the Philippines, to a region associated with militant activity. The Jewish community here wants the government to do more. In fact, the Australian government actually has a special envoy to combat anti-Semitism. Gillian Siegel released a report back in July. That report is now being fast-tracked with some of those particular key recommendations about to be implemented. In the foreword to the report, Siegel wrote that when hatred goes unchallenged, democracy is at risk, and that's something on the minds not only of the Jewish community here in Australia, but every Australian. Sarah James, NBC News, Bondi Beach, Australia.
NBC's Sarah James, thank you so much for being there for us. Meanwhile, tensions with Venezuela continue to escalate, with President Trump now saying he is ordering a blockade of sanctioned oil tankers both leaving and entering Venezuela. We're going to break that down in just a second. But first, new video from the Department of Defense. Just this week, the U.S. struck 3 more boats in the Eastern Pacific, killing 8 people. That brings the total number of deaths from these strikes all the way to at least 95 that we know of. But while we've got evidence of this strike, we still have not seen the video of that controversial second boat strike in the Caribbean that killed 2 survivors of an initial U.S. bombing back in September. And today, after growing demand, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said this.
In keeping with long-standing Department of War policy, Department of Defense policy, of course, we're not going to release a top-secret, full, unedited video of that to the general public.
And joining us now is NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Melanie Zanona. Melanie, this post is sending a lot of people scrambling. I imagine this is going to be hotly debated in Congress, right?
Yeah, and it comes already as there's this heated debate on Capitol Hill about congressional war powers and whether Congress needs to approve any additional strikes or escalations in Venezuela, something that the Trump administration has not been doing. And of course, obviously, this also comes on the heels of last week when the administration already seized an oil tanker off of the coast of Venezuela. So this latest move is clearly an escalation. It's going to up pressure on the Maduro regime, potentially threaten their economy, which is already struggling. And so for Republicans who are already uncomfortable with some of the actions in Venezuela or who don't have a clear picture of the end game, despite being briefed multiple times, including today, of what the end game is in Venezuela, this could lead to some really uncomfortable questions for the administration. And there are more and more Republicans who have been willing to speak out, who have been willing to stand up to the administration and say, hey, we want some more read-in here. We want some more information. We want to know exactly what the justification is, what the ramifications are. And so I think all of that is just going to add to this ongoing conversation on Capitol Hill.
And instead, a lot of lawmakers, I mean, they're probably seeing the news like we are, where it's posted on social media. I do want to start with the video, though, or talk a little bit about the video that it sounds like will not be released in maybe its raw entirety. And then there are questions on whether the public's ever going to see it. I know we've got senators on different sides of the aisle talking about it. Let's play that real fast before we chat.
Obviously, they have issues with what is in that video, and that's why they don't want everybody to see it. What we also need is open hearings so the American public can learn about this directly from the people that they employ.
The least of my concerns is this friggin' video. Release it, make your own decisions. This is lawful.
So, question, is this video going to be released in any form, maybe with redactions, maybe with censoring, or is this video never going to be made public?
Well, it doesn't sound like it's going to be made public, and Congress can't force the Trump administration to do that. However, they can force the Trump administration to turn over this video to Congress, and that's exactly what they're doing. They actually tucked language into an annual defense policy bill that said they would essentially cut the travel budget for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth if they don't turn over that unedited video of the September 2nd strikes. That bill already passed the House. It is on track to pass the Senate this week, so potentially we could see some movement there. Meanwhile, we're also hearing that both the House and Senate Armed Services Committees are set to receive briefings tomorrow with Admiral Bradley, and he is expected to show them the video. So there is a small circle on Capitol Hill that is being shown this video, but the full Congress has not seen it yet. Many lawmakers, including on the Republican side, said they want to see that video. They deserve to see that video. So potentially after this national defense bill passes, they could get a copy of that footage themselves.
And again, this is a video from September 2nd. We have seen strike after strike after strike, including in the last few days here. As for the ongoing strike, let's take a listen to what Senator Schumer had to say a little bit earlier.
Their policies in the Caribbean are unclear. We don't know what the limits are. We don't know where they'll stop. We don't know what the ultimate goal is. The president says different things at different times and contradicts himself. That's why we need full transparency.
And important to note, that was before the news that we just got on the blockade, right? So what kind of role could we see Congress play as the strikes continue, or is Congress getting pretty bypassed here?
Well, Democrats are trying to force votes in both the House and the Senate this week on something known as war power resolutions. And those resolutions would essentially require congressional approval for Trump to take any additional military action in Venezuela. Now, these resolutions do have bipartisan support, but not nearly enough to pass, at least in the Senate, and certainly not enough to actually overcome a presidential veto. That being said, though, there are more and more Republicans who are growing uncomfortable with the actions in Venezuela. We'll see how this latest announcement with the oil tankers and the blockade adds to that uncomfortability among Republicans. And so if Trump continues to escalate without getting congressional buy-in, potentially we could see more Republicans siding with Democrats on those war powers resolutions.
NBC's Melanie Zanona on Capitol Hill. Melanie, thank you. And now let's bring in NBC News military analyst Colonel Stephen Warren. Steve, I want to get your reaction from that news from Trump ordering a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and going out of Venezuela. It's breaking news right now. What are your initial thoughts here?
Yeah, thanks, Gotti. I think it's notable. I think two things that are really notable. Number one is that it's only the sanctioned oil tankers that have been, are going to be blockaded. So this isn't a complete isolation of the nation of Venezuela. So apparently, at least it sounds like from the Truth Social post, that other shipping, other routine shipping will be able to continue. So that's number one. Number two, there is certainly enough sea power, enough combat power in the region to enforce any level of blockade. The world's most powerful aircraft carrier is now sailing off the coast of Venezuela. So enforcing this blockade will not be difficult for the United States Navy.
If we can pull up that post one more time, because there was another thing that I'm still trying to figure out here. He talks about stolen oil fields and potentially stolen land here until such time as they return to the United States of America. All the oil, land, and other assets that they have previously stole from us. The illegitimate Maduro regime is using oil from these stolen oil fields to finance themselves. First of all, do we know what he's talking about there? I mean, the history of Venezuela, you've got, going back to Hugo Chavez and Maduro, there was some seizing of private property that was then nationalized. But is that what he's referring to? And I know this is very, very early on, but what stolen oil and stolen land are we talking here?
Yeah, Gotti, that's a bit of a head scratcher. Generally speaking, it appears that he is referring to U.S. companies, U.S. oil companies that were operating in Venezuela and were seized and nationalized. That's how it appears. Now, what it would look like to return these items or these, there's equipment, there's land. It was always Venezuelan land that American companies operated on. So very confusing and frankly, not quite clear yet how any of that could be enforced.
Yeah, the rhetoric seems straightforward until you start pulling back the layers and just looking back at history and trying to follow those threads. With the legality of the boat strike, right, that we saw back in September up in the air, we're now seeing this. And now we're also saying that we're not going to see that video. How do you read this? And the bigger question that I have, do you think that we're seeing like a rewriting of the just war doctrine that the United States has kind of subscribed to for a real long time, and it's morphing into something new here?
Gotti, you like asking really big picture questions. I'll start small and zoom out. I've been chatting with colleagues, former colleagues and friends in the Pentagon over the past few days. And I do not think we will see that second strike video. We may see heavily edited something to come out, but I don't think it will be satisfying whatever comes out next. And I don't think it'll be something that we're able to understand. We are right now not yet engaged in what I would describe as full combat. These are sort of pinpoint strikes, the type that we have seen, quite frankly, since 9/11. Precision strikes against individual enemy combatants. Now, we can have a discussion for the rest of the night over whether or not the Trump administration's decision to label these drug cartels as essentially enemy fighters or an enemy terrorist group. Obviously, the Trump administration believes that is justifiable. They've referred to the drugs that these cartels move as weapons of mass destruction. That's something that reasonable people can probably discuss. My own view is that that's probably a stretch. Historically, when we think of combat, we do think of nation states, or occasionally, if you go back far enough, particularly in U.S. naval history, certainly we've used the Navy to fight piracy on the high seas and other things like this. But what we're seeing today with the drug cartels in Venezuela is certainly something new, something we have not seen before in our history.
If we could, and I know that the legal question is so critical and important, but if we could just put that aside for a second. I mean, there was a Vanity Fair article that came out today. Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, apparently or allegedly said to Vanity Fair, he wants to keep on blowing boats up until Maduro cries uncle, and people way smarter than me on that say he will. So again, legality question aside, if that is what we're seeing here, if this is all just to put as much pressure on Maduro until he finally gives up, do you think that we could see that with just the boat strikes and just the blockade and nothing more than, that and the armada that we have off of the coast of Venezuela? Or is further kinetic action required for something like that to happen?
That's exactly the right question and exactly the right thing for us all to be thinking about. The answer is no. These small strikes on these drug boats are not enough. The blockade of embargoed or sanctioned oil tankers is not enough. Most of those tankers stopped sailing when the first tanker was seized last week. So it will take additional pressure, additional, most likely kinetic pressure on Maduro. And I would submit it would take significantly more kinetic pressure to make Maduro leave. The president has discussed, or he's certainly surfaced the idea of strikes on land. I think that's what's next in the hopper, although I'll admit I didn't see this blockade coming. But I do believe that strikes on land-based targets are next. What I don't yet think we will see are ground forces introduced into Venezuela, so boots on the ground. Perhaps some very rapid and high precision special operations missions, maybe. But I think that would be the extent of it. As far as significant land forces, American boots on the ground in Venezuela. Number one, we're not nearly there yet. We haven't built up enough combat power to even do that in any type of short order. But then number two, I don't yet believe, I haven't seen any signs that the president is prepared to commit ground forces to Venezuela.
Colonel Steve Warren, you always shoot us so straight. We really, really appreciate your insight. Thank you so very much. And don't go anywhere. Up next, a second doctor sentenced in the ketamine ring that led to the death of actor Matthew Perry, but he's not going to see any jail time anytime soon. We're learning there. Plus, a car plows into a grocery store in Georgia. The dramatic aftermath caught on camera. More on all that coming up, so stay tuned.
All right, 90.
Oh, man, Lisa, that colonel was incredible. That was, yeah, he's so, I mean, that was fascinating.
He was so good.
I think he's
so good, right?
Yeah, his insight is always just spot on. Hello, Camilla.
So I just realized 1 and 2. Ooh, hi.
By the way, Camilla's in the house.
Hello, everybody.
Hi. 10 out of 10 guest. Yeah. This one too.
10 out of 10.
This one too.
6, 7.
Yeah, don't start with the 6, 7 in here. Those are banned words in this. How do you know about 6, 7? It is
Children taught me.
everywhere. Oh my gosh. 6. Do you know about like the whole thing?
No.
It's 6, 7,
6, 7?
11 in heaven with Kevin.
45.
The extended version? I hate that version.
I do not know the extended version.
I don't know if you guys know about this extended version.
You have to teach it to me.
Because Kira came home singing that, and I was like, about ready to kill Kevin. Whoever Kevin is? No. All right, here we go. Yeah, you have a great Kevin. Are we starting right here? 20 seconds.
Very similar answers to the first two.
Okay.
So maybe.
I'll follow your lead.
Ten. 4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. Here are some of the other headlines we are watching tonight. There was a small plane crash in central Mexico that killed all 10 people on board. That plane was trying to make an emergency landing on a soccer field. When it hit that metal roof of a nearby warehouse, it started this huge fire, forced hundreds of people in that area to evacuate. And in North Carolina, at least 12 firefighters and 2 others were hurt after a home explosion. The crew was trying to fight a heavy fire when something exploded in the house, causing the roof to collapse. Officials say a gas line caused the explosion at first, but now they are backtracking and saying that the cause is still unknown. And at least 14 people got hurt after a San Francisco cable car suddenly stopped. It tossed everyone around inside. Firefighters say at least 11 people were sent to the hospital. Fortunately, everyone is now in stable condition, and officials are trying to figure out what happened. Meanwhile, the pretrial hearing of Luigi Mangione continued for an 8th day as defense lawyers try to get evidence thrown out of his trial. Today, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office signaled it would not include statements that Mangione made while in custody after his arrest, after the New York officer who recorded the interrogation admitted he did not know if it was legal to record somebody in Pennsylvania without them knowing. And dramatic images show the aftermath of a car crashing into a Kroger store in Georgia. Witnesses say that driver had some sort of medical emergency, still had her foot on the gas when they found her. They helped the woman out of her car, then backed the car out so they could help those hurt inside. Police say 4 people got hurt and sent to the hospital, and officials are still investigating. And turning now to the sentencing of the second doctor involved in the ketamine ring that led to the death of actor Matthew Perry. Dr. Mark Chavez pled guilty and has been sentenced to 8 months in home detention, 3 years of supervised release. He originally faced up to 10 years in federal prison before his October 2024 plea deal when he gave up his medical license and passport. Chavez admitted that he obtained the ketamine from both his former clinic and a wholesale distributor through a fraudulent prescription. He sold it to Dr. Salvador Plasencia, who would then later give the drug to Perry. Plasencia was sentenced to 30 months in prison earlier this month. But what does this mean for the 3 others that are charged in this case? That is still a question outstanding. Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Camila Bernal, who's been following today's sentencing. So, I mean, some people are going to see this. They're going to see Chavez sentenced to supervised release and basically home jail, right? How did that come about?
So here's the thing. We have two doctors. The one today, Mark Chavez, he got 8 months at home detention, essentially. And the judge in this case and the prosecution and the defense, all of them essentially agreeing. They all thought it was somewhat of a fair sentence. And here's why. In this case, even the prosecution was asking for less time. And the reason was that this is a guy who helped the government right away. So he initially lied, but then very quickly started cooperating with investigators. And thanks to his cooperation, they were able to get the other doctor. So once you get the other doctor, they were able to charge the other doctor with more charges. And so they essentially gave this guy a lot less time, really no jail time. He's going to be at home versus the 2.5 years for the other doctor. And one of the things that even the judge was saying was that this one doctor that was sentenced today, Mark Chavez, he didn't have that relationship with Matthew Perry, whereas the other doctor did have that face-to-face, did give Matthew Perry the ketamine. And so even the judge in this case, when we had the last sentencing for Salvador Plasencia, said you were supposed to have a patient-doctor relationship, and instead you were dealing drugs. And so when we also talked to the analyst, what he said was, look, whoever comes in first and whoever decides to take that plea deal first will likely get a much better sentence because that person is going to help get the bigger fish in the pond, essentially, which was the other doctor. And it all just came together for prosecutors that way.
And there's still two outstanding here. There's the personal assistant, right? And then there's the so-called ketamine queen. Did Chavez flip on them too? I mean, did that case build around Chavez's testimony and his cooperation, or are those completely separate?
So there's 3 people that are still waiting for their sentencing. So the ketamine queen and a guy who was the middleman. And so they sort of operated separately from the doctors. The doctors were getting these fake prescriptions and then giving the ketamine. The ketamine queen was doing things a whole lot different. We'll have to wait for their sentencing, but essentially those are more drug deals than a doctor trying to do this. And so these 2 people are still to be sentenced. And then you also have Matthew Perry's personal assistant who administered the ketamine and who was there speaking to at least Salvador Plasencia. So their conversations are back and forth. The money transactions are back and forth. So they're somewhat separate, but obviously all of this was essentially at some point given to Perry, which was what caused his death. Now, prosecutors do say that the drugs that came from the doctors did not kill Matthew Perry. They were not able to link that, but they were able to, I believe, link the ketamine queen's ketamine to him dying that night.
Oh, Camila Bernal, thank you so much for all of that. And it's another warning sign for the economy. We've got a new jobs report out today, and this one showed the unemployment rate. It is the highest it has been in 4 years. NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung has more on that.
Well, hey there, Gotti. We got a new read on the economy in the form of data on the jobs market. Now, this is a full report that we got covering the month of November, and then we were getting scraps of a report from October because of the government shutdown, where there were no people at the Bureau of Labor Statistics able to go out and actually collect some of this data. So let me just kind of walk you through what was a very complicated report, starting off with the November numbers showing that there was job gains of 64,000 in that month. That sounds pretty good. But then we also got that very delayed picture on October showing that there was a contraction of 105,000 jobs in that month. Now, again, what we're talking about here are non-farm payrolls. These are jobs covering a wide range of different industries. And the industry that accounted for most of the losses in October was federal government jobs. Now, this is not necessarily because of the government shutdown, because those that were furloughed were not counted as unemployed in that particular report, but it was the residuals of, ready? The Doge cuts. Yes, that's a throwback term from the beginning of this year. But as we recall in the spring, we were talking about a lot of these federal workers getting these letters telling them that they would be able to take a deferred resignation. That kicked into effect for most of these workers September into October, meaning that effective October, for the first time, we saw a lot of those Doge cuts actually reflected in the government data. That's what accounted for over 160,000 job contractions between September and November in federal government jobs. That is something that has kind of led to a substantial cutting of the amount of overall headline numbers. for the jobs market. Now, the unemployment rate did tick up to 4.6%. We did not get granular detail for the month of October in terms of what the unemployment rates for Black, Asian, Hispanic Americans look like. We did get that data for November, and it did show a substantial uptick of the unemployment rate. These are all threads that we're going to be watching as we go into the months to come. Gotti?
We sure will. Brian Chung, thank you so much. And coming up, another storm is rolling through the Pacific Northwest. It's already hit that area hard with some dangerous flooding, and there is rain coming down as we speak. We've got a live report from the ground in Washington next.
Clerk, 3 minutes.
All right. Hey, Kev, if you can hear me, can we throw that thing up in the rim, up in the monitoring?
2 minutes.
Okay, cool.
I'm speaking right now at the White House. There's a Hanukkah party going on at the moment. It appears he's so far just, mentioning people in the room, thanking those attending, etc. But if he says anything newsworthy, we'll dip into that.
Okay, and then we can just throw it up here, down here, just to keep an eye on it?
Yeah, we'll put it in one of the boxes here if we can just monitor.
Yes. Okay, perfect. All right. See, this is the kind of behind-the-scenes stuff that you guys don't normally see. And instead, you guys see commercials. But here, we're just friends. So, there we go. All right, so that's what that's looking like right now. And this, that's a podium. Is this...
Yeah,
would you know where at the White House?
I can find out where it's being held.
Interesting. Okay, we'll monitor that. Okay, we're starting over here.
Great.
How many seconds?
45.
45 seconds, okay. And then we're going okay. Do you guys have porch plants? Well,
It is in the East Room of the White House.
East Room, okay. Got it. This has quite the plot twist. And then we're going to be going to the Pacific Northwest for more rain. And Steve Patterson, poor guy, he is drenched out there. 30 seconds. All right, so here we go.
15.
15 seconds. Right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
5, 4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. It's the holidays and porch pilots stealing packages right now at record rates across the country. Some homeowners, they are reaching a breaking point, but one man's decision to fight back has left him in legal trouble after he opened fire on some alleged thieves. NBC's Sam Brock has that story.
Across America, scenes like these play out thousands of times a day. But a recent attempt at porch piracy in Atlanta,
I think it's two people that have been shot,
nearly came with deadly consequences after police say two teenagers who acknowledged trying to steal freshly delivered packages were shot by a homeowner as they approached.
I heard outside a young man screaming for help.
Both are expected to survive, and the man has been charged with aggravated assaults and another felony. Just in the last few weeks, police investigating countless incidents of porch piracy, like the thief in this video arriving as the Amazon delivery person leaves, swiping a package literally 10 seconds later in Fort Worth.
I was home and about to open the door.
To a Kentucky bandit you see here, looking around before stuffing stolen goods into a pizza box. One report estimates 104 million packages were stolen in the last year. That comes out to a whopping 250,000 a day, costing Americans $15 billion. As for the cities hit the most, Chicago, New York, Miami, Houston, and Baltimore are the top 5. Experts advise giving specific delivery instructions for somewhere not visible from the street and using home cameras with lights or sirens. With tonight a fresh reminder. The criminal act can be costly in more ways than one. Sam Brock, NBC News.
Sam Brock, thank you. And there is another storm starting to move through the Pacific Northwest as more evacuations are being ordered. And the goal of avoiding situations like this is in full effect. A rescue last night by the Washington National Guard in King County, where the streets were flooded around the parts of western Washington. Let's bring in NBC's correspondent Steve Patterson, who is out in the Pacific Northwest right now, out in Washington. Steve, I mean, that is not what anybody that is in that area that has already seen flooding wants to see. Rain, is it looking as bad as they were expecting?
Yeah, it is, Gotti. We are expecting significant rain overnight. It could last the next few days, 24, 48 hours, but it's not just the rain, right? There's wind advisories up north. There's blizzard advisories. The rivers in this area, both the South Sound, North Sound, they're all at flood stage or heading that way. They're all swollen, and the levees now have broken twice in the last 12 hours or so. Now, we saw the images yesterday. It was a small break. This morning as well, but it caused a whole lot of panic, and it really speaks to the fact that the system itself is overloaded. These levees can't sit in this much water for this long. That's what authorities are worried about. So the fact that there is more rain now makes the situation a whole lot worse. By all estimations, and according to the meteorologists that we've been speaking to and talking to, it does not seem like it is going to be as calamitous as it was last week. But now we have everything from last week into this week, making things in the outlook a whole lot worse. So we will see. Meanwhile, this latest levee break happened at about 1:30 this morning. It was panic. It was authorities going door to door. It was people waking up in the middle of the night, banging on their neighbors' homes, trying to make sure that everybody escaped this area okay. Another 1,000 or so go now alerts were issued. And then authorities, again, going door to door. They evacuated about 200 homes in this specific community. But this is one of several now facing the possibility of more calamitous flooding. And the rain, as you mentioned, is just getting started. Gotti?
And Steve, how are people preparing after last week's storms for what we're seeing right now?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of sandbagging that was done. The infrastructure was built up a little bit more. The governor talked about the fact that obviously the National Guard is in place. We saw them sandbagging and sort of sealing off this latest breach. But it's almost like, how can you plan for this amount of rain? I've been talking to residents who say that obviously it rains in the Pacific Northwest, but they have still never seen anything like this. We're right on the White River where I'm standing, this community, and it's never flooded the way it did this morning. I spoke to one resident, again, who was helping sort of lead the effort of waking up in the middle of the night, banging on elderly neighbors' doors to try to get them up so they didn't suffer from the fact that this area was flooding. Here's what he told me about that experience and what he's going to do moving forward. Listen to this.
I see a helicopter overhead with loudspeaker, and he's saying, get out now, level 3 evacuation, levee breach, we got to get going. And within half an hour, this road was so plugged up with cars you almost couldn't get out. This is something that I've never even dreamed of.
We're expecting more rain tonight, maybe even tomorrow. What's the worry right now?
Well, we're just hoping that they're able to repair that breach if we don't get too much rain. I'm going to stick it out right here, but if this kind of stuff happens again and it gets back up in the yards, I'm going to probably bail.
And all of this while authorities are dealing with the fact that this is now fatal flooding, because we had that one death out in Snohomish. A person tried to drive around a barrier that was flooded, a road flooded, thought it was shallower than it was, and wound up losing control of his car and drowning. So authorities are very worried about the fact that people are trying to get around scenes in which they simply can't. That is the big warning now, moving into another day and possibly a day after that of continuous rain and possibly more flooding. Got it?
Yeah, an important reminder as we look at more rain. Steve Patterson, thank you. And still to come in the future of everything, there's a 13-year-old scientist making waves for his invention that helps people when they fall with the help of AI. That's coming up, so stay tuned.
Clip 90.
This kid is awesome. He is so awesome. I mean, talk about using AI for good. You want to protect your family, and then you're like, how can I use this to, make somebody's life a little bit better and also change the world? That's this guy's story. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know what the deal was. It said that it was, here, let me tell you if I've got it here. I don't know if I was able to save it, but I'll go back and review. But yeah, every day that we get dinged for something. So I don't know. And then it keeps
1 minute.
Keeps popping down, I think, our our visibility. But it's all right. We're still hanging. There's still people. Yeah, this kid, you guys are going to love this kid. He is awesome. Awesome. Okay. What's our time back?
30.
30 seconds. All right, 30 seconds. Busy news day, huh? Hey, Lise, what ended up happening with the, what ended up happening with this? Any update on what he's saying? Any bombshells or announcements?
He's thanking a lot of donors. We had Miriam Adelson come up to the podium. She's the Sheldon Adelson's wife. A little bit of chanting, 4 more years, but no commenting on any of the big stories we're following today so far.
Got it. Okay.
Animation.
And welcome back. In just a moment, we're going to tell you about this kid, this student scientist, and his latest invention. But first, the battle for the living room is heating up as social media has now entered the game. Instagram, they launched a new feature. It looks a little familiar. You can now watch Reels on your much bigger screen. The one that's called the television, it is called Instagram for TV, meaning you can doom scroll without actually having to use your fingers, maybe. Right now, it's only available for people in the United States who have Amazon's Fire TV. That's that stick thing, and Instagram says it expects to widen its audience next year. They're coming for our TV lunch now, huh? Meanwhile, for tonight's Future of Everything, we are introducing you to an award-winning scientist with this new invention that uses AI for good. It uses AI to detect when people fall. And that scientist, he's 13 years old. NBC's Camila Carbernal reports.
This is a test fall. 13-year-old Kevin Tang has done it over and over and over again. It's how he tested his invention, Fall Guard, a fall detection system that uses AI to recognize and prevent falls.
The camera will be looking in like a specific area, like a living room, and inside the computer there is an algorithm which will constantly check if there's any falls happening. If a fall happens, then you'll get an immediate notification on your phone.
Kevin's grandmother fell in 2020. Years later, his friend's grandfather also fell. His Apple Watch, which could have detected the fall, wasn't charged.
I was thinking, like, what other ways can we detect if the person fell or not? But you don't have to wear anything. So I just thought of the camera from there.
He then looked for ways to better develop his invention and found 3M's Young Scientist Challenge. It's a middle school science competition where he was paired with a mentor, Dr. Mark Gilbertson, a robotics and AI specialist.
I really like how he had a personal problem and then he connected that to a software solution as well as physical hardware.
Kevin competed against more than 1,000 other students from around the country, but his invention stood out, getting him not just first place, but also $25,000.
When they said my name, I was really excited because I won. So many people can know about the project now.
Kevin says he used some of the money to buy a computer to better develop his app, which is free. You just need to have a computer and a camera at home.
It's using media pipe to track all the points on your body, and based off of those points, it's gonna check if there's a fall or not.
The camera maps your body, which raised some concerns during the app's development.
Kevin and I also talked a lot about privacy and security. His solution is taking the video, but it is not saving all of those videos. It only saves the one snapshot or clip of when somebody falls.
And yes, I tested it too.
So it'll first detect that you've laid down, and then since you fell so quickly before that, it finds out that you fell.
The notification happens almost immediately.
If you look on a phone, it says that a fall happened right now.
Kevin is now testing Wi-Fi cameras and different computer camera combinations.
What's the plan? The plan is to get it to as many people as possible.
Camila Bernal, NBC News.
Camila Bernal, the sleeping on the job. Camila, thank you so very much. And coming up, a drone company is stepping up in a big way to help reunite a woman and her lost pup. But first, you got to see this. What started as a routine shift for a DOT worker turned into a life-saving operation out in Tennessee once he saw this unresponsive driver on the side of the road. The video is a little grainy, but with the help of another Good Samaritan, the two were able to smash a car window, cut the person's seatbelt, and save their life. That truck operator received an award for those heroic actions. We'll be right back. So yes, Ram, we got to do a Ram story, Lisa. Can you guys hear me now? Mic check, 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 check. Ram is at like an all-time high. Okay, is the sound back now or is the sound bad? No, there we go. Okay, so when the red, got it. The red, okay, got it. All right. Good to know. All right. So during packages, if I say something, say, yeah, okay, I got it. RAM is so expensive. Done. From you guys, from the chat to tomorrow, hopefully. I think we're going to be doing a lot more just breaking news everywhere. But RAM, we got a book on RAM. Who's a good person that we could talk to on that? 30 seconds? All right. And dog stories are definitely the best, okay? Back. Okay, yes, here we go. We got a good dog story coming up right now.
10.
You're gonna like this one.
5, 4, 3.
And finally tonight, after 9 long days, a New Jersey woman has been reunited with her beloved dog, Dakota. It's a heartwarming reunion, all thanks to a local drone service. Ted Greenberg from WNBC has that story.
Does that look like her?
Yes, that's her.
The elation in their voices is unmistakable. The moment when Samira Gross's worry turned into relief 9 days after her dog Dakota disappeared.
Not knowing if she was okay for 9 days was just so emotional for me.
The 3-year-old pooch ran off after another animal in Johnson Park, which spans nearly 500 acres in Piscataway and Highland Park. Samira and her family looked and looked, but could not find Dakota.
I was pressed for time
Dakota
because
didn't even
now
have
with
a
the
furry
snowstorm
coat.
coming, it's already been like very cold outside.
Finally, Samira connected with Apex Eagle Drone Service. The Williamstown-based company specializes in recovering lost pets. Using a thermal imaging drone, Chris Sherrard scanned the
Wait,
park
there's a
on
company
Saturday.
that specializes in pet recovery with drones?
And once you know, there was one heat signature in the middle of all the reeds in there.
Dakota! She just moved. She just moved. She got her head up.
It was really awesome, honestly. My heart started pounding as soon as I
Yes!
noticed the ears were like floppy and not like another animal's ears.
A friend of Samira's family ventured
Oh,
through
that
mud
is
and thick
so
reeds to reach
sick.
the dog and ultimately bring her out.
I had to guide her
Are you
every step of the
kidding
way
me?
with the thermal imaging because he literally couldn't see 2 feet in front of him.
Some of these reeds are close to 10 feet high, so you can see just how tough it would have been to spot Dakota
Reporters stand
without
up for the win.
that heat detection
Poor
technology.
little guy.
I really believe the timing was just crucial because now there's 8 inches of snow in that area. Honestly, this was the longest case that we know
Oh,
of
look
that
at
we've
that.
dealt
Just
with.
why
For
that
9
tail is
days.
just
From the
going
bottom of my
so
heart, yes.
fast.
I'm very, very grateful for their services.
Samira brought Dakota straight to the vet. She had lost some weight, needed IV fluids, and was scraped up, but alive. Her tail wagging nonstop.
We were just so happy to have her home.
The drone company's services cost Samira $350. A small amount, she says, for this priceless
What
outcome.
a bargain.
4, 3.
That is a type of future we want to see. Ted Greenberg, incredible story. Such a happy ending. Thank you so very much for that. And before we go tonight, here's some stories that you'll want to stay tuned for tomorrow. We're going to continue to monitoring the fast-moving developments surrounding the murders of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle. And then President Trump is set to make a primetime address tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. We're going to have full team coverage leading up to whatever he talks about in those remarks. And in this week's edition of Health Talk Trends, the Al Pastor taco, is it better than a granola bar? We're going to ask a legitimate doctor, our friend, Dr. Akshay Sayal, to weigh in on that. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Gotti Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned to NBC News Now. All right, what do you think? Al Pastor taco or granola bar? Al Pastor taco. Ryan says Al Pastor taco. Everyone's like, obviously, Al Pastor until later. Anyway, guys, we'll see you here tomorrow, hopefully. Thank you so very much for watching. If you guys are just scrolling in and you're like, what was that? That kind of looked like the news, but it wasn't the news? It was the news. This is Stay Tuned Now on NBC News Now. We broadcast live here in Los Angeles from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. That's 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock on the East Coast. And you can watch it anywhere you stream. And then, if you found this little thing, you get the enhanced version. You get to listen to us chat with you guys during the commercial breaks and then in between stories. And yeah, I get unhinged during some of those stories. And you know what? Before we hid that from you, now you get to see whatever you want. So thank you guys. Catch you tomorrow. Asta. Bye, Blinks the Cat. Bye, Lisa. Bye, Tina. Bye, Terrible Maddie. Bye, everybody.